Good evening and welcome to the Monday, November 13th, Maplewood Economic Development Authority special meeting. City Clerk Sint, would you please do the roll call for us?
Commissioner Lee.
Present.
Commissioner Villavicencio.
Here.
Commissioner Cave.
Here.
Commissioner Juneman.
Here.
President Abrams.
I'm here as well, thank you. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juneman, the motion to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Moving on to the approval of minutes, we have the September 11th, 2023 Economic Development Authority meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Juneman, the motion to approve the September 11th, 2023 Economic Development Authority meeting minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. There's no public hearing tonight, no unfinished business. We have new business, several items. First, we have the First Amendment to a contract for private redevelopment. Ms. Parr, this is your topic for the night.
This is, thank you, Madam President, members of the EDA. I'll draw your attention to the overhead. I just have a few brief slides. Thank you. We don't want to go backwards too much, but I just want to make sure everyone's familiar with the site. We've talked about it a number of times, but the site is located at the southeast corner of Frost Avenue and Phelan Place, as you can see on the overhead. This project was approved as 150 units market rate apartment. Previously, it received approvals for a comp plan amendment, conditional use permit, lot combination. As you recall, there was two parcels involved in this. One of them the city owned, it was a vacant lot, and the other was Maplewood Marine. And so that required a lot combination, the public vacation, and then design review. As we are all aware, we are kind of in a time of uncertainty in regards to the marketplace. We see interest rates that are quite high right now, as well as increased costs in general. And with that, we have gotten a request from Reuter Walton to take a look at their approvals in relation to the time frames. Their request tonight is specifically related to two things and two things only, and that is the commencement date and the completion date. These requests are not necessarily unusual at this time frame. We're seeing it in a number of communities across the metro for different projects that are in queue to happen, but because there are delays in relation to financing, they're asking for delayed commencement timeframes as well as completion timeframes. What that specifically would mean on this site is the commencement of the construction would be shifted from December 31st, 2023, so shortly, to September 1st, 2024 instead. The other is the completion timeframe from December 31st, 2025 to December 31st, 2026. This is not at all in relation to the land use approvals, the TIF, any other agreement language related to the developer's agreement. It's specifically for these two aspects. One other thing I wanted to draw your attention to was in relation to an upcoming meeting. It's the next item on the agenda, so I just want to call it out. We do expect that Reuter Walton is going to be asking to come back on November 27th to ask for consideration of a request for assignment and assumption agreement related to this project. They have been working with another developer that would like to take over the project and move forward with it specifically as it was approved. So there would be no changes in relation to the project itself or the agreement or TIF or anything else in relation to that. We don't want to go too far into that because that's for your next meeting, if you so choose to call for a special meeting of the EDA. And with that, I'll refer to our city attorney if he wants to add anything to this.
Madam Mayor, Council, no, I think Ms. Parr did a good job of summarizing anything, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
And I should also mention, Madam President, members of the EDA, we have Jared Ackman with Reuter Walton here in the audience if anyone has questions directly for the developer as well.
Okay. Let's start with any questions from the council for Ms. Parr And then we'll see if we need to bring the representative from Reuter Walton up. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Parr? Seeing none, do you have anything that you would like to add? Do you want to step up? You can tell us up there if you don't want, if there's nothing to add.
I'm Jared Ackman, representing Reuter Walton Development. I think Ms. Parr summarized it quite well. It's really uncertainty in the market in the fluctuation with interest rates are really what we're hoping to just extend.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, then council members, Councilmember Cave.
Well, I guess I do have one question. I don't know if it should be right now, but if Reuter Welton is having problems obtaining funding, why would not someone else have problems?
Ms. Parr, could you maybe respond to that?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the EDA. It's a good question. I think it largely depends on what's going on in the marketplace and what each developer has going on at any given time. Roar's companies, the company that they're working with, is the second largest Twin Cities developer, right behind Scannell, and they have bandwidth that is large, and I believe that that's in their favor when it comes to financing that they already have in place, ready to go. And I think that's a little bit different than Reuter Walton at the moment, and just in the queue with their projects, and some that are further along. But I'll let the developer speak to that if you'd like.
Again, she summarized it quite well. It comes down to the capacity that we have right now in our pipeline and the other named developer has. And they were looking for another project to add to their pipeline here to start early next year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, then I see no other lights on. Council members, is there someone who'd like to make a motion?
I'll motion to approve the First Amendment to a contract for private redevelopment for the Reuter Welton Frost Avenue Development Group project at 1136 and 1160 Frost Avenue East.
Second. Moved by Cave, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the First Amendment to a contract for private redevelopment for Reuter Walton for their project at 1136 and 1160 Frost Avenue East. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Ms. Parr, going to the next agenda item. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the EDA. I don't want to be redundant, but I will just mention that this request is specifically related to a call for a special meeting of the EDA on November 27th. It would be in relation to a request by Reuter Walton to have their project reviewed in regards to an assignment and assumption agreement. And at this point, we are just asking that the EDA call for this special meeting so that this conversation can take place at your next meeting.
Okay. Council members, does anyone have any questions? Okay, then would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to call out.
Special meeting of the ED on November 27, 2023 regarding the Reuter Walton project 1136, 1160 Frost Avenue East.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Lee. The motion to call a special meeting of the EDA on November 27th at 6:45 in the City Hall Council Chambers for the purpose of considering an assignment and assumption agreement related to the Reuter Walton project at 1136, 1160 Frost Avenue East. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Moving on, resolution approving approval of the 2024 preliminary EDA budget. Mr. Rube, this is your topic.
Thank you, Madam President and Commissioners. Each year, by EDA bylaws, based on the EDA bylaws, they're required to submit a budget to council for consideration and incorporation into the city's annual budget. As you are aware, back in September, the council removed the $150,000 levy that's usually in place for the EDA and designated towards EAB projects instead for 2024. However, staff is recommending keeping in $150,000 in expenses for 2024 so they can look forward to projects and other initiatives in 2025. So in part of your packet, there is a budget for consideration. It does not have any revenues in place, just expenditures of that $150,000 for fees for services and consulting fees. Any funds that are spent in 2024 will be offset by fund balance. If nothing's used, fund balance will stay the same, and anything else used will come off of fund balance. That's pretty much it, pretty simple, to the point. If there are any questions, I'd happy to answer them. If not, staff would recommend a motion to approve the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Rube. Any questions for Mr. Rube? Then, council members, we have a motion. Would someone like to make it?
Motion to adopt the resolution providing approval of the 2024 preliminary EDA budget in the amount of $150,000 with a funding request of $150,000 from the City Council from the EDA fund balance.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman, the motion to adopt the resolution providing approval of the 2024 preliminary EDA budget in the amount of $150,000 with a funding request of $150,000 from the City Council from the EDA fund balance. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. And then finally, we have our EDA, our 2024 EDA meeting calendar. We're already talking about 2024. Boy, the year's gone by fast.
Yeah, it did.
Ms. Parr.
It's very exciting, isn't it? We're very excited about it. We're so excited that we're proactively jumping on this a little earlier than normal, but if you should decide for some reason not to have a meeting in December, we wanted to already have this taken care of for you when you were all here. Typically, as you know, at the end of the year, in anticipation of the coming year, you set your schedule. Typically, it's quarterly. We've called out those dates, January 8th, April 8th, July 8th, September 9th, and December 9th. Obviously, in following the requirements, those can be adjusted as things happen, and you often do accommodate that. When things come up, you always accommodate that. And when we don't need them, you can always cancel them. But we wanted to at least get those out there, and if there's any right now offhand that you know are going to be problematic for any reason, we ask that you call those out, and we're happy to adjust those accordingly for you.
Council members, any questions or comments? All right, then we have one more motion tonight. Would someone like to make it?
I move to approve the 2024 EDA meeting calendar.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Villavicencio, the motion to approve the 2024 EDA meeting calendar as specified in our council packet. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries as well. And we have gone through our agenda, and therefore we will adjourn the EDA.